Family, what is going on? Let us spend some time together because a lot that I have been writing about, sharing, talking about, I've been getting a lot of, are you ever going to go live? Are we going to do a podcast? So, why not? And why not discuss some of the things that other people have been discussing um, with me? And so, this is cool. Gonna have a pretty straight conversation with you out there in the YouTube Uberverse, in the Uberverse. And I want to welcome you to the A Faith That Works podcast, titled and working. And I'm attributing this to my next book, which will be called A Faith That Works. And it just turns out that everything that I have been discussing and writing about for the past couple months since my last book was published, it has revolved around people wanting to know more about the culture of their faith, wanting to know more about how their faith can develop into its own culture, wanting to know about how their faith can sort of grow up out of the culture that it has either adopted or inherited, and has also revolved around people saying, I want to see your eyes when you talk. So here I am. And so everything that I have been either writing about or talking has been inspired, absolutely, and I haven't been realizing it, but has been inspired by the book that I am soon to publish, hopefully. And so when it comes to justification, um, that process of the growth and development has struck a chord. And the chord that it has struck, a chord of a question mark. Because there is a process of justification, and my show is just so on there. I don't really talk about anything else but that process of justification because nothing else matters, because that's just what the show is framed around. But in that aspect of justification, there is a gauge of the human quality that we would like to have in our experience. And everything falls back, whether we are wanting a more pure experience with our Creator, whether we are wanting a more pure experience with our own self, whether we are wanting a more pure experience with one another, everything falls back to how our faith is handled. So before we can actually begin any process of recovery, because that's what the Bible's philosophy is about. The Bible's philosophy is about the recovery of our conversation. It is not necessarily a philosophy about guiding one on how to have the perfect religion. That's not what the Bible is about. The Bible is about instructing the conversation on how to cultivate its own culture of conversation or of devotion attributed to the same creator or the same mind inspiring those words. And to get to that process, one has to have a culture of faith. And to have a culture of faith, we have to be born into a sphere where that faith is. And of course, each and every single one of us, when we are born to the sphere or into the sphere of religion or of spirituality or of any sort of philosophy, trending on any of that, we enter into the religious world. And so our faith is cultivated in that sort of perspective, and we're held to that sort of perspective. Now, because there is going to come a point in time where that's not going to satisfy us anymore, because it's like drugs. I don't know. Never done them, heard about this, but the first hit that you get of anything the chemical reaction that's released into the brain is so great that you want to just keep doing it over and over and over again, chasing that first hit. It's the same thing with us, our faith. We've turned to the scriptures for a particular reason because we believe that there's health inside of them. And wherever we turn to denominationally, or preferably, we remain there searching for the same hit to hit us as when we first got there. And when we don't find that first hit, that's when we find ourselves going from pastor to pastor, so on and so on, so forth and so forth, and searching for that hit, searching for that hit to get that conversion, and it will never happen. It will never happen because that's not how our faith is supposed to operate. Our faith is a body. It's our human being that is going from place to place looking for that hit. It's the human stimulus we get from spirituality or from religion that we're searching for. It's the human being within us, the human stimulus. Well, our faith also has a stimulus of its own because our faith has a body of its own. And so, as we're going from place to place to please our human being and to please our human inquisitiveness, our faith, meanwhile, has its own inquisitiveness that it needs to experience and pass through, and has its own inquisitiveness that it needs to discover. And so, we can either remain confined to the human stimuli experience, or we can actually let our faith break through, give acknowledgement to our faith and to the experience our faith needs, so that then our faith can then have its own experience, have its own form of or show of kindness to its own self. That's the beginning. And in that beginning of cultivating the culture of our faith is a kindness, is a form of charity to ourselves. And I'm going to read here from 3 John. 3 John chapter 1, 5 through 7. 3 John chapter 1, 5 through 7. Beloved, thou doest faithfully whatsoever thou doest to the brethren and to strangers, which have borne witness of thy charity before the church, whom if thou bring forward on their journey after a godly sort, thou shalt do well, because that for his name's sake they went forth, taking nothing of the Gentiles. And this is the key to charity. Now, the key to charity is to bring one forward on their journey, taking nothing with them from their Gentile experience. This is, of course, this is devotional, this is philosophical. What can be taken from the Gentiles except a form of their idolatry, form of worship, rite, ritual, deed, act, so on and so forth. As opposed to encouraging one in this, the correct form of charity is to encourage the journey. There is no journey in fulfilling deeds and acts and services and such besides the journey of feeling. You feel as though you are one with whatever you're doing, and whatever you're doing is one with the deity you have in mind. And so that oneness, that's the feeling. As opposed to that feeling that's based on deeds and acts, a true form of charity, it is moving via journey. It is encouraging the journey, which is a completely different perspective when you think about it. Because when you encourage journey, you're not just encouraging movement of body, you're encouraging movement of mind. Encouraging movement of mind so that movement of body can next take place. So the highest form of intelligence that we can demonstrate or show to another is charity. And this form of charity within the scriptures being the guiding of the journey. Now, in order to do this, we have to first do it for ourselves. And doing this for ourselves is the same thing. How we would allow another to separate themselves, should they willingly want to or care to, from the service of deeds and acts, to feel a oneness towards whatever they would feel oneness towards, and center the attention on the journey. if we could do this to or for our faith, the trip that we would take to get to where we need to get personally would be a trip of wisdom and understanding. It would be a journey of wisdom and understanding. This journey of wisdom and understanding would then translate to wisdom and understanding for growth to give to another for their growth. And that's definitely the main concern. The main concern when it comes to charity is another's mental state, the state of another's devotional conversation mentally. And so us first, because we can't help another get to that point if we cannot do it for ourselves. And so a faith that works is everything that in my private conversations with others and then in my writing and speaking matters. And what everything is headed towards. Everything is headed towards and is supposed to head toward a faith that works. A faith that does not work is a faith that needs us to give it power to live. A faith that does not work is a faith that needs us to make it feel as though it is present. Now, there are things that we can do, watch, listen to, wear, not watch, not listen to, that can compel us to believe that our faith works. But that's really just us spending energy for the sake of making our belief valid consciously. But there should actually be an unconscious form of awareness that our faith lives. And that comes from having that faith and its culture embedded within us. Embedded within us. It's almost like a chair. You look at a chair and the chair knows what it is. A chair can be silent. It doesn't have to speak about what it is. When the eye sees it, that's when it speaks, and that's when that eye knows what it's looking at. A chair. Same thing of our faith. Our human being has to be able to categorize and recognize what is within it. And what is within it is a living body of faith. That living body of faith has to have attached to it a living body of understanding in order for that living body of faith to know that it is a living body of faith and that it needs nothing to stimulate it into that form of livelihood. And a working faith is one that does this without us needing to force it to do so. A working faith is one that does this without us even being aware that it is doing it. A working faith is one that will have us turn without us know that we're turning. This is the type of faith that the philosophy within the Bible would have us cultivate. It is the faith of journey. And when on that cultivating the faith of journey, the journey being the main concern, means that the envisioned aspect of our faith is the main concern. The envisioned aspect of our faith is the main concern. So what that means is that we have an envisioned form of devotion that we know should be found within and demonstrated by us. We have an envisioned form of devotion to the living God. Having this envisioned form of devotion, we move. We don't look back at anything else. We don't look beside us at anything else. We look straight on into the nothingness that is in front of us, because what's behind us is what we are traditionally or devotionally or denominationally used to. If we are on this journey that the Bible has called us to be on, the Bible has not called us to this journey, has not sounded decent to the essence within us, so that we can turn that essence around and let it be guided by another mind. The essence that is within has turned to the scriptures for something that we know we need. And knowing not what we need, it is just to focus on the journey. Deeds and acts, as we are traditionally accustomed to do, focus on the destination, right? The destination is supposed to be alleviation. The destination is supposed to be oneness with the deity. The destination is supposed to be preconceived salvation or whatever we would imagine is connected to that. But when it comes to what the Bible would have us acknowledge in our experience, focusing on the journey, the track, the track is become the highlight of the experience. And having that track highlighted as the experience, the focus is not the destination, the focus is not the stimulus. The focus is, where the hell am I going? Where the hell am I going? What in the blue moon is the Bible talking about? And what is this culture that is inside of me that needs to come out, but I know it is within me to come out and has yet to manifest? So now the journey turns from stimulus and destination to a growing in awareness of self. And it is this growing in awareness of self that we then take our faith into consideration, its consciousness and its body and its organs, to begin to feed it, to begin to let it walk, to begin to let it understand, to begin to let it speak, to begin to let it live through the vessel that we are. And everything that we do leads back to a form of understanding that falls back on our experience to draw us closer to the influence within the words that gave us that experience, allowing our faith to then work for us instead of us working for it. And so this first episode or block, the faith that works, is to put into the mind or to put into the experience today for this entire week of allowing the faith that we have to work for us. Whatever we're going through, whatever we imagine to be going through, whatever we anticipate to be going through, allowing our faith to work for us. Why? Because we will learn that we actually have no faith. That's the point. We will learn that we have faith in nothing despite everything we claim to have faith in. And this experience of actually knowing and understanding that we really have faith in nothing, it is to lead us into alarm. Leading us into alarm, we have to pick up the source. We have to deal and handle with words. Dealing with and handling words, what we retain, we exercise. Bringing it back to our faith. Testing, experimenting, pruning, and purging our own belief, and repeating this cycle. This is our faith that works and should be working for us as we do what we can to give it the chance to work for its own self.